screaming, bare feet hit the floor. Yeah, it's off to the races, everybody out the door. I'm feeling like I'm falling behind, it's a crazy life. 90 miles an hour, going fast as I can, trying to push a little harder, trying to get the upper hand. So much to do in so little time, it's a crazy life. It's ready, set, go, it's another wild day when the stress is on the rise. In my heart I feel you say, just breathe, just breathe. Come and rest at my feet and be, just be. Chaos calls, but all you really need is to just breathe. Third cup of Joe just to get me through the day. Wanna make the most of time, but I feel it slip away. I wonder if there's something more to this crazy life. I'm busy, 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 and it's no surprise to see that I only have time for me, me, me. There's gotta be something more to this crazy life. I'm hanging on tight to another wild day when it starts to fall apart. In my heart I hear you say, just breathe, just breathe. Come and rest at my feet and be, just be. Chaos calls, but all you really need is to take it in, fill your lungs, the peace of God that overcomes. Just breathe. Let your weary spirit rest. Lay down what's good and find what's best. Just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. Come and rest at my feet and be, just be. Chaos calls, but all you really need is to just breathe. Just breathe.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to 6 Questions with Alona. That's me, and today we have with us one of our faculty of choreographers, Autumn. Yay! So Autumn, our first question for you is, how did you come to IVC? What's your connection to us?
So I came to IVC in, I want to say it was probably 4 years ago. 4 years ago? I can't really remember. But I had actually applied for Jen's job, and Jen got the job and I didn't. I didn't even get a call back. But I didn't have my master's yet. I was just in the process of getting it. And then I met Jen at a like a dance, not a convention, like a performance, but it was in Los Angeles for a bunch of different community colleges.
Oh, cool.
So I was there. I taught another dance from a different college, and a mutual friend, introduced me to Jen and said she had just taken over the program here at IVC, and she was wonderful, and you should get to know her. I said, oh, I'd love to talk to you because I've tried to get a job there because I live 10 minutes away.
So convenient school.
Yeah, so we had a good conversation. She liked the piece that I had presented at that festival.
Mm-hmm.
And then she brought me on to do a guest choreography piece the next year, and really wanted me to do jazz or musical theater.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And then she tried to get me in teaching tap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm here.
Yay. We love it. So second question is, what was the inspiration for the piece that you did in fall 21?
I really felt that the busyness of life, and even in COVID, even with the, which is a little odd because you would think that COVID caused us to slow down, everything to stop, but I still feel like there's this need to keep going or to change what we're doing, or I have to do more, or I have to try not to get sick, or I have what am I going to do? Am I going to go to college? Am I not going to go to college? Am I going to work? Am I not going to work? My job just failed. The economy is failing. Right? Just all of the busyness around us didn't stop.
No.
And the need for us just to realize that life is so much more than all of the stuff, at least from my perspective.
Yes.
And being able just to stop and be still and to realize that I can just breathe and that it will be okay. And I don't need to worry and I don't need to stress. I just need to do the things I'm supposed to do, but not in this hurried rush of feeling like I've got to keep up with everybody else or whatever my idea is of what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
So I just felt like it was an anthem that I needed to remind myself, that probably the dancers would need, that it would be good in general to put it out. So that was this inspiration was about going against the rush.
No, I love that. So what was kind of the process like for you creating the piece, the choreography process for you?
Yeah, so the this piece in particular, I was really scared to do because I had this idea of working against rush, and then I heard the song, the second piece that had lyrics in it, and I thought, oh, that's exactly it, just this idea to stop and to breathe. But that song in and of itself wasn't enough. It didn't set it up. And so then I wanted something that was going to be this rush. But I also didn't know how many dancers I was going to get.
Yeah.
What their ability level was, what kind of commitment with this post-COVID. Are people going to show up to rehearsal? Are they going to make it through the process? And I really felt like I needed a huge number of dancers to create this busyness on stage so that I could juxtapose that against somebody being still. So I really went back and forth because we didn't have a huge number of people that auditioned, but I had a decent sized cast, and they were excited and wanted to do it. So I was toggling back and forth for a while. So I started with the first piece, just about the rush, and I thought, well, even if I can't finish the piece, let's make the first half at least good and interesting and a challenge for the dancers. So part of my process as a choreographer, I have an idea, I have a theme, I have a message or something that I'm trying to work on. But then I also always want to challenge the dancers.
Totally.
Because I think in an education setting, the choreography is more about them and about them being able to grow and learn than it is about me being an artist, and because then you have your own company. Like just do your own work and pay your dancers, and that's what you do. So in education, I just feel like that's the bent. And as a teacher, I want them to grow and learn.
Totally.
So then it's about finding movement that pushes them, but isn't so far beyond what they've done before. Because we don't have time in rehearsal to say, this is how you do these steps. So it's about finding the right balance with the dancers, with the artistic vision that I have, with the music and the time constraints that we have. Totally. So then I always sit down and I think, well, what are the type of movements that need to create? What's the visual look that we need to have? What is the music saying to me? I'm very musically driven.
You can see that in the movement, definitely.
Right. So where are the different sounds? And then I generally play with those sounds, and I play with direction changes and level changes. I like very dynamic movement. So that is kind of the approach. And then figuring out, what does it look like to rush? And then I thought, well, let's do this lineup idea, which is a concept from modern dance that was formulated back in the postmodern movement with Trisha Brown and some others. This idea of just like running and lining up and creating this lineup and then changing it and then somebody else following. And so I thought, well, let's play with that. Because it's a good concept for you to know, and it fits our piece.
Totally,
So then we just kind of played with that for a little while, and trying to get them to actually run and rush was hard.
It's hard to run on stage in a performance setting.
And to look like you're really running. Don't
Without
jog.
falling.
Don't jog. And to work that out. And then to also have the acting piece of, I need you to breathe.
Yeah.
I need there to be something else. And a little bit of quirky, that's the same thing. Let's do something quirky and different.
Yeah, yeah.
And throwing that in there, so.
Oh, that's so, I didn't even realize the line thing, but now that you said that, I'm like, yeah, of course, I've seen that in so many modern pieces. Didn't even dawn on me.
There you go.
I'm just a layman's when I watch it. I'm like, this is so pretty.
There's a little bit of dance history.
Yeah, I love that.
Embedded there.
So for the fourth question is, obviously coming back after COVID, we all faced different challenges. So what was that transition like for you coming back post-COVID with dancers in the studio space, masked on,
right,
ready to go?
Well, I think for me, I love, like, I'm not terribly afraid of COVID. So for me, there was no fear of getting sick, and I'm afraid to come back. So I was just excited to be able to come back, be in an actual dance space instead of trying to dance in my house.
It's hard.
Which was so hard. And because I teach in different colleges, I had different experiences of already having to dance in a mask and working through what that's like. I do have a little bit of asthma, so it was always, can I dance in a mask? Can I breathe? How am I going to do this? So that I'd already kind of worked out.
Oh, that's kind of nice, yeah.
So coming back here and doing the piece, none of that was a consideration.
That's good.
I think the biggest challenge was dancers being out of shape.
Totally.
Because even if we're dancing at home, you're dancing in a smaller space. Chances are, even if you've been dancing a little bit, it hasn't been as much.
No. Gosh,
and even if you are dancing, you're still not as active as a person. So all of those things are going to play into being back.
Totally.
And then there were a lot of new dancers.
Yeah, we did get a lot of new dancers.
So coming back, and I had some that I'd worked with before, which was great, and then some that were new. And that's lovely, but there's not necessarily an expectation of they know what's coming. They know what the process is. So, and some of them were really nervous. I found that in general, because of the mask, and this is very, very general, but people are very afraid to speak and to respond. So if I ask a question, I don't get an answer. I just get a blank face. And that's not just in our rehearsals, that's in every class.
Yeah, totally.
So having an exchange and being able to even read their expressions, how is this movement sitting with you? How are you feeling? Is really hard.
Yeah, you can't see them grimacing.
I can't see if that's a smile, if that's an exhaustion, if that's frustration. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then knowing how much to rehearse it, like, because I need you to be functioning in rehearsal. I don't want to kill you in rehearsal. So those are different challenges, I think, with COVID, and coming back and just being a real person in a real space
around other human beings. It's different.
And showing up. But the dancers for this piece they really bonded together well. They did a great job. And then I got COVID.
Yes, you did.
So then I couldn't be there for tech week. So then Alona and Jen had to take over for me and help and send me videos of things. So that was an unexpected challenge.
Totally, yes.
With COVID, having to be quarantined. I wasn't very sick at all, but I wasn't allowed to be here. Yeah. So having to watch the videos and then give the students, the dancers, feedback, and then just trust you're going to be okay. Yeah. You'll be fine.
They did fabulous.
And they did
great. Really did. They really stepped it up. The show was amazing when they actually got to like perform it in front of people. All of us were like, that's what it is.
That was the vision.
That's what we saw. That's what we wanted to see. It was beautiful. It turned out so amazing.
Yeah.
So what did the visual aspects besides the dancing and the choreography, what kind of lighting and costuming, how did that all play into creating the look that you wanted?
Right. So I think, lighting sets the tone a lot for pieces. So, and I struggle, as a choreographer because I don't want to give the lighting designer too much direction. Yeah. Because I have found that many lighting designers want to have the creative freedom.
Yeah, because
with
they're artistic too.
Right, with their own style, their own way of working, how they would like that piece. And I feel like that's an important.
Totally.
However, we don't have a lot of time to go back and forth and develop that. So I tend to give a little bit of direction. This is the idea and this is the goal. What do you think? But for this piece, we decided to make it fairly stark at the beginning. Yeah. Colder light that was a little bit harsher, and then make it a little bit warmer, and then warm up some different parts of the stage to help tell the story thematically, to help the audience feel the emotion shift in the piece, because lighting can really do that. And sometimes lighting can be very dramatic. So as artists, we want, oh, I only want side light. I don't want any front light. Oh, I don't really want to see them because So, and that always looks really cool, but that isn't always what the lighting designer wants to do.
Yeah.
And so sometimes that's, I think, a little bit hard of a give and take of what that looks like. But it turned out great. I thought the lighting was fantastic.
Yeah, it definitely fed the story.
The costuming, you know, we talked about doing more pedestrian type of a look because it was about people being real people.
Yeah.
But then it has to be clothes they can move in.
It's always a challenge.
And then we talked about them not looking all exactly the same, because if it's about people just being people, then to have everybody look like cookie cutters wasn't the right idea for the piece. And then the dancers couldn't really move in some of the costume pieces because they couldn't slide. So we actually had a little bit of miscommunication because the words I thought I was expressing were not the words that our costumer was hearing.
It's hard.
Which is hard.
It's hard to just design a costume in your mind and then vocalize it.
Right. And to say, well, so I did go back to her at one point and said, actually, could we do something that had like slippery pants? Because as I was choreographing, as we were working, there was some sliding that we wanted to have so they could move. So I need them to be able to slide. But I didn't say this type of material. And so our costumer, our costumer was like, okay, but then that material didn't really slide because she wasn't thinking about it on the floor and slide. So I wasn't very specific and clear. I thought I was, but she, so then we had to come back to it and say, oh, they can't be in bare legs because they can't slide, or this isn't going to work, or this is going to work. So then actually they decided to pull a whole new look, and Jen went in and said, well, maybe this will be better. And although it slid, it wasn't the right color temperature. It wasn't the right kind of urban look and feel. And so the dancers, we looked at both sets of costumes at one of the staging or dressing rehearsals the week of show. I had them put on both, and we decided, no, it's still the original one. We're just going to have to make it work and maybe change some sizes or do some things so that they feel like they can actually bend in them. It's always better.
Pedestrian style clothes to dancing.
Yeah, because normally pedestrian clothes aren't meant to bend.
No, they're not.
So that is an extra challenge. But it was important to communicate what the idea and the feeling was. To have them costumed.
It read very well that you're like, oh, these are people going about their lives. In a semi-normal fashion.
And the costumer really wanted to do some kind of monochromatic, like we're all in blues, but there were different kind of colors, which was really cool. And I really appreciated her artistic bent into doing that. We just also had to find the right functionality.
It's hard.
For
it's
the
a hard
specific
balance.
movement.
Totally. So our last question is any advice for new or upcoming or anyone who's interested in choreography or creating dance works?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I got to teach choreography this last semester at a different college, but I taught it because I taught high school for a really long time. So I would teach choreography units in my high school group. And I think that the biggest thing is to just start making movement. One of my grad professors who taught us choreography said you need to create something every day. Whether that be 1/8 count or 2/8 counts, but you need to actually try to create a phrase every single day so that your creative juices are flowing. Maybe you never use some of it, but it's just a practice and a discipline of having your brain create. Which I thought was a really great advice. So that's one, create every day. And then the second one I would say is get some tools. So take composition and choreography classes, read composition and choreography books, study choreographers, look at the greats Jose Limon, Martha Graham, Alvin Ailey, look at the people or whatever genre that you like, but who created amazing works that have stood the test of time. And I think for me as a choreographer, studying their works, trying to learn how to recreate or what were they doing, not just looking at it, but really analyzing,
studying
what are they doing. Donald McHale is, I think, one of the most masterful choreographers of recent history. Always blew me away with what he did from a choreographic standpoint. Because there's a way just to make movement and it just spits out. And it's like a shopping list of movement. It's just one movement after another. But there's no form. And there's no design. And I think for it to be called choreography, there should be design and thought either because you pre-think it and you use your brain to kind of work it out and then you motivate the movement, or you just move and motivate, but then you have to go back after and massage that.
Yeah, and kind of find the transitions.
And
all
try
that
and find the transitions and think about what is the structure and how is
Yeah.
this holding together.
Mm,
Just like a music composition would,
totally.
or an art composition, there has to be those composition elements to it,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
So that would be my advice.
Thanks, Autumn.
You're welcome.
I hope you enjoy her piece, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Bye.